Hey friends, we are back in my garage workshop with some new technology. I'm filming on a new camera. I hope it's actually recording. See a red button, I think that means it's recording. Anyway, as you can see, we are standing in front of a very boring wall, but it is not gonna be boring for long. In fact, we are fixing that in this video today. So I am super stoked that we are at this point in this process where we're talking about boring walls, because this workshop originally was supposed to be a 2-month journey, and instead it turned into a year-plus long journey. But I'm so excited to finally be at a point where I can say, I'm done with construction in this space. It is now time to make this space feel like a happy little HQ for DIY hunters and a fun filming studio on top of a workshop. In fact, I've already gotten started organizing the space. I will share an organization video on the channel very soon. But today what I really want to do is focus on this wall behind me, because this has just been this huge, beautiful blank canvas that is just screaming for attention. And every time I look at it, I can't help but just see a brick wall for some reason. But Houston, we have a problem. So I originally wanted to do a real brick wall in this workshop, and I was quoted at $1,500 just for the brick. So we're gonna have to get creative. After some brainstorming and after some planning, I think I've come up with a way to get the brick accent wall that I want for under $250 for all the materials for the entire project. And I am so excited to get started on this project. So friends, enough talking, let's get started. Quick story time. So my journey into DIY started when I was a broke college kid and I couldn't afford nice materials, so I had to find ways to get creative, and this project here is no different. In an effort to save $1,250, I'm gonna try to make this MDF sheet look like real bricks, starting with cutting away all of the half bricks first. Okay friends, panels cut. The other ones are outside. It's like pure carnage out there right now. Before I can get those up on the wall, I have to do a little bit of demo. So I'm going to take the trim off of these windows, and then I'm also going to take the trim off of the workbenches, and then get rid of this guy. And then once that's done, we can start putting that there. How does autofocus work on this new thing? Oh, let's do it. So although we won't be laying real brick, these sheets have their own challenges. Like for instance, they are heavy, and not like emotionally heavy like they'd say in the 80s. Like I love a good Back to the Future reference, but physically heavy, which means they need some help to stick to the wall. So I use a good amount of DAP's heavy duty construction adhesive to attach them to the walls. And for added security, because I am hanging these on a vertical surface, I also added some screws to each board while they're drying so they don't fall off the wall and like crush me. But once the adhesive is cured, I'll remove those screws because the adhesive is strong enough to hold the boards in place once it's dry. No worries about the window, I got a plan. So you know that saying, work smarter, not harder? Well, that definitely applies for projects when you're working by yourself. These sheets were heavy, so I really wanted to get as many of them up on the wall before worrying about final cuts. So for the windows, I blocked the windows, as you can see, and then used my router to cut out the window boxes. I'll list all the things I used in the materials list below so you can use the same if this is a situation you're running into. And then for the peaked roofs, I tried to rough cut them first and then cut them in with a multi-tool as close as possible. Woo, looking like I just put up a brick wall. Let's talk about what happened here. I pretty much got that angle correct. The problem though is I was 2 rows off. So as you can see, I had to bump up that panel in order to get it to match up there. No big deal. I think I'm actually gonna do the same thing on that side to make my life easy. I pretty much can take the measurements now from this panel to put on that panel. I do have to work around my electrical box, which is gonna kind of be annoying. I'm gonna try to get that panel up and then fill in some pieces, and then we'll see where we are. I only bought 4 panels, but I think we could do this with 4 panels, friends. Putting together this project honestly felt like putting together a giant jigsaw puzzle, but cutting out those half bricks, as you can see, it's gonna make it so much easier to do this like faux mortar effect later in the process and hide all of those fake seams. And because I refused to spend a single penny more on this project, I kept every single offcut to use to fill in any blanks, and I tried to make those look organic as well. Time to clean up. Call it a day. Oh, hold on, check this out. Day wrap up to on my phone because I want to show you something, but like, whoa, I look like I've been working in the coal mines. What is wrong with me? Anyway, check this out. This poor camera can't have nice things, guys. Literally the first day on the job. I guess if it can survive this, it can survive anything, right? Anyway, quick wrap up for the day. Look at that. Got lots of bricks up on the wall. I pretty much got all of the full sheets up. I have one more full sheet outside. That one's gonna get cut to go under there and then also fill in all of the blanks. We're gonna make it work. If I have to freaking dig for all of the ones that I cut off the sides, I'll do that. I don't care. I'm not buying any more than $250 worth of materials for this. So anyway, it's really dusty in here. I'm gonna clean up and then I'm gonna have myself some dinner because I'm hangry. See you tomorrow, friends. Bye. Friends, we're back in the shop. Okay, I touched one thing. It's already on my face. How is that even possible? This is where we ended yesterday. Real quick, so I actually had a little bit of a panic moment last night because I realized that this morning was trash day, and if I didn't get the trash out, they're not taking it for another week this week. So I basically dug through the trash last night, like full-blown dumpster diver mode, to take out all these tiny little pieces to try to fit into this panel on the bottom. So I did it, and the reason I did that is because I only have one full panel left and I still have to fill in both sides of this wall and get all the way up there as well. I'm not spending a penny more, so I have to make that panel and like a couple of scraps that are left over there work. So I'm gonna start puzzle piecing this giant jigsaw together. It looks a little janky right now. I promise this is gonna look better tomorrow. Today, let's just worry about filling in all the missing pieces and then getting anything that I haven't stained in the ceiling stained today, because I wanna let this wall dry for a full 24 hours before I start yanking all the screws out of it. So let's try to make this last panel fit into all of the rest of this wall, friends. Wish me luck. As if we haven't used enough corny sayings in this video, let's talk about another one, because sometimes desperate times call for desperate measures, and when you're on a tight budget, every piece of scrap counts. So my only mission from here on out in the install process was to just join in any pieces I could find to close the gaps in the wall. And quick spoiler alert, I originally didn't think I'd have enough left over to do a surround on the electrical panel wall, and originally did decide to box it out, but later in the process I was able to actually lay some brick. I'm literally doing quotes with my hands, like you can see me doing air quotes with my hand, and blend it into the wall, and I'm so happy I ended up taking the time to do that, but you won't see that until later. So anyway, once those final bricks were up, it was then time to just do some little finishing touches before moving on to making this wall look pretty, and that mostly just included me staining the rest of those 2x4s in the ceiling and also finally tucking away any of those obnoxious wires. I cannot believe what a difference just staining the ceiling made for this entire space. But back to this brick wall, it is officially time to make it look like, well, a brick wall. Morning, friends. It is so early. I was so excited to get this wall done. I popped out of bed before 7 a.m. Who am I? Anyway, look how good everything looks. I got a chance yesterday to stain all of those unstained boards, and all of the pieces are up. So I'm gonna start my morning by pulling all the screws out of this wall, and then we're gonna get to making some magic happen and making this look like a real brick wall and not like a pieced together giant jigsaw puzzle. I look like a mad chemist today. We're about to do like pretty much the easiest science experiment ever. So I decided I'm using plaster for this project instead of drywall compound, mostly because plaster does not really need to be sealed and it just looks a little more natural, more like an actual compound that would be found in between brick, but it does require a little more work than joint compounds. Like compounds you can buy already pre-mixed in a bucket. We're gonna have to mix this together here. And I'm gonna start actually with a really small batch. You only wanna work in small batches with this stuff because it does set pretty quickly. So I'm gonna start with a small batch so that I can get all the way up to the top with in like a smaller bucket. It's easier to hold and scoop out. And then as we work down the wall, I am going to do a larger bucket that I can trowel out and skim all over the brick. Let's do it. In all honesty, this was the most fun part of the project because you don't gotta be neat about it or calculated about it at all. You just gotta like slap on the plaster and call it a day. I think the hardest part about this is A, making sure that you're covering all of those empty seams, and B, making sure that you're working fast enough that it doesn't dry on you, because it does dry pretty quickly. In all honesty, I did want this to look like an old, weathered, vintage looking brick wall, so not being neat about it worked in my favor, which was pretty cool. The other cool part about working with plaster for this project is that you really don't have to worry about putting too much or too little on the walls, because once it is dry, you can add more, or you can take some off with sandpaper, which is exactly what I did to give it this roughed up vintage look. I just literally used a sanding block, scuffed some away, and then it was ready for the final touches. I'm so excited to show you my idea for this. Friends, today's an exciting day. We're painting my logo on this brick wall. Let's do it. I actually think it's an understatement to say that I've been dreaming of putting my logo or some sort of cool mural on a brick wall in this shop since the day we closed on this house almost 3 years ago. Can you believe it's been almost 3 years already? But I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, so I actually asked my patrons on my Patreon account what they thought, and I think across the board we all agreed that some iteration of my logo would look the coolest instead of a mural, so that's what we're doing. P.S. If you're not on Patreon with us, come on, join us. It's a really cool community, sharing some project sneak peeks there, asking for project advice. I have you guys sharing your projects with me as well so we can talk about it. It's been a really awesome crew there, and I hope that you'll join our little family. But anyway, back to the project. As you can see, I chose my logo. I might be biased, but I think it looks so good. Now at this point, once that logo was painted, all that was left to do was add some final touches like some trim work and a couple of shelves from some leftover lumber from my basement demo. And honestly, friends, this shop really looks like a studio now, and I could not be more proud to share it with you all right now. Even staying on a $250 budget, I think your girl nailed it. Does this not look like a real brick wall? I am so excited to finally have this super cool backdrop in my shop space. I could not be more proud of the way this shop is coming together. I also could not be more proud of the fact that this is our space. It is our studio. It is our creative happy place. We are doing this together. I could not do it without your support. So thank you so much for your input and for being here and for your excitement about this garage workshop. Friends, there are so many more projects that are happening on this channel, both in this shop, out of the shop, for the shop. So if you're interested in still hanging out with me, make sure to click that subscription button and that notification bell. I will have a new project coming out so soon. But until then, friends, thank you so much for your love and your support. I will see you so soon, and happy DIYing.